Welcome back again, and let's go now for second session in introduction to language subjects for the first year, English department from London College of International Studies. That's me, Dr. Hamad Al-Wishi, and let's start the language in use pragmatics, which means in Arabic علم المقام. While semantics deals with the literal meaning, pragmatics examines how context influences interpretation. Pragmatics investigates how we use language in real situations, considering factors beyond the words themselves, including who is speaking to whom, when, where, and why. Speech act theory, developed by G.L. Austin and John Searle, this theory recognizes that we use language not just to describe reality, but to perform actions. Talking about this, we have three acts. First one, locutionary acts, the basic act of saying something meaningful. Illocutionary acts, the intent function, promising, questioning, and commanding. Pre-locutionary acts, the actual effects on the listener. Conversational embellisher, H.P. Griggs theory about how we infer meaning beyond what's explicitly stated. Cooperative principle, participants expect each other to make appropriate contributions. Maxims are the quantity, informative, quality, truthful, relation, which means relevant, manner, which is clear. When maxims are apparently violated, listeners look for implied meaning. Contextual interpretation, the same sentence can have dramatically different meanings depending on context. It's called in here, this simple statement could function as how language change. So, the historical linguistics. Languages are not static entities, but evolve continuously over time. Historical linguistics studies how and why language change, tracing their development and relationships. This field combines rigorous methodology with detective work to reconstruct earlier language forms and map language histories. Types of language change. We have phonological change, morphological change, syntactic change, semantic change. Shifts in pronunciation, for example, great vowel shift in English from 1400 to 1700. Morphological change, alternations in word structure, for example, simplification of English case system. Syntactic change, which means modifications in sentence patterns. For example, English word order become less flexible. Semantic change, shifts in word meaning. Broadening, dog once referred to a specific breed. Narrowing, meat once meant any food. amelioration, which means nice, once meant foolish. Pejoration, silly, once meant blessed. Lexical change, addition or loss of words through borrowing, coining, or absence. Of course, we have to know the meaning of every word we have here: broadening, narrowing, pejoration, lexical change, because we will find them in the exam, inshallah. The history of English. English provides a fascinating case study of language evolution through three major periods: Old English, Germanic language with complex inflections largely, language families, and diversity. Old English starts from 450 to 1100 CE, then Germanic language with complex inflections largely, then finally language families and diversity. Language family and diversity. The world's approximately 7,000 languages are classified into families based on shared ancestry. Through comparative linguistics, scholars trace relationships between languages and construct and reconstruct ancestral, which means what roots came from. Proto languages from which modern language descended, which means came from. Major language families. Indo-European, 45% of world population includes Germanic, English and German, Romance, Spanish and French, Slavic, Russian and Polish, Indo, Iranian, Hindi, Persian, Urdu and others. Sino-Tibetan, 22% of world's population includes Chinese languages, Tibetan, and Burmese. Afro-Asiatic, 60% of world population includes Arabic, Hebrew, Amharic, and Hausa. Niger Congo, 6% of world population includes Swahili, Yoruba, Zulu, and hundreds of African languages. Australasian, 5% of world population includes Indonesian, Mali, Tagalog, Hawaiian, and Maori. Other significant families, just like Turkish, Japonic, Uralic, and Austroasiatic. Language endangerment and preservation. The diversity of human languages is rapidly diminishing. Approximately 40% of languages are endangered. One language dies every 2 weeks. On average, 96% of languages are spoken by just 4% of the world's population. By some estimates, 50 to 90% of current languages may disappear by 2100. With each language loss, we lost cultural knowledge, ecological information, and unique ways of conceptualizing the world. Linguistic diversity hotspots. Language diversity is not evenly distributed. Boba New Guinea, over 850 languages in a country of 9 million. Indonesia, more than 700 languages. Nigeria, over 520 languages. India, at least 450 languages. Many small communities maintain distinct languages despite geographical proximity. Language diversity represents humanity's adaptive capacity for creating complex communication systems suited to specific environmental and social needs. Systematic study of language relationships helps us understand the human migration patterns, cultural interactions, and cognitive universals across human population. Language acquisition. Language acquisition is the process by which humans learn to understand and produce language. Is one of the most remarkable cognitive achievements of our species. Despite the complexity of language, children master the basics within few years without explicit instructions. So we can you can ask yourself why children, why babies in 2 years can speak clear language without studying, for example, linguistics or grammar or pragmatics or semantics or syntax or grammar rules. Why they can speak explicit language? That's because the ability that Allah created in them, that they can understand and they master the basics within few years without explicit instructions. We don't tell them that you have to say the word this way. They acquire, they listen, they hear the words from us, and they repeat it in their own ways until they master the language. First, language acquisition. Children around the world follow a similar developmental sequence, no matter what the language is. Number one, pre-linguistic stage from 0 to 12 months, the first year. Crying, cooing, babbling, developmental of phonological system as babies experiment with sounds. Recognition of native language sounds patterns by 6 to 10 months. Number two, one word stage from 12 to 18 months, starting from second year after the first year is over, starting from the second year until the second year and a half until 18 months. First words emerge, often naming important people or objects. Words can function as entire sentences, whole phrases. Vocabulary grow slowly at first. And from the second half of the second year, they can reduce to word stage. Simple combinations expressing basic relations, more milk, daddy show, grammatical phonemes largely absent, vocabulary begins expanding rapidly. The fourth stage, from 2 or 3 years, telegraphic speech. Longer sentences omitting function words. Baby want cocky, basic grammar immerse, vocabulary explosion up to 10 new words per day. Complex grammar from 3 to 5 years, near adult grammar with occasional errors on complex structures, mastery of most phonological rules, and of course, understanding and the production of narratives. Theoretical perspectives. Several theories attempt to explain language acquisition, just like nativist from Chomsky. Children are born within an innate language acquisition device, LAD, that contains universal grammar principles. Environmental input triggers parameter setting for specific languages. Sociolinguistics examines the relationship between language and society, and that's what sociolinguistics is all about: language and society. So, sociolinguistics examine the relationship between language and society, investigating how social factors influence language use and how language reflects and shapes social realities. Rather than treating language as a homogeneous system, sociolinguistics explore variations and its social meanings. Language variation. Language varies systematically along several dimensions. Regional dialects, variations associated with geographical areas, Southern American English, Cockney, etc. Social dialects, socialects, variations associated with social class, ethnicity, or other group identities. Gestures, variations based on context and formality, casual conversation versus academic writing. Jargon, specialized vocabulary used by professional or social groups. Slang, informal vocabulary associated with particular social groups or generations. اللهجة العامية. Slang, which means اللهجة العامية. Social factors in language. Multiple social variables influence speech patterns. Social class, gender, age, ethnicity, network. Social class, different socioeconomic groups often use distinctive linguistic features. Gender, research shows differences in language use patterns between men and women. Age, generational differences in vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. Ethnicity, distinctive varieties like African American English have systematic grammatical patterns. Network, the system of social relationships, affects linguistic behavior. Language attitudes and ideologies. People hold strong beliefs about correct language use. Standard language ideology privileges certain varieties as more correct than others. Linguistic discrimination can lead to social and economic disadvantages. Language planning and policy can promote or suppress language varieties. Code switching, alternating between languages or varieties, often carries social meaning. Language change in progress. Sociolinguistics study how language change is spread through communities. Sound changes often follow predictable patterns across social groups. Changes typically originate in specific social groups and spread outward. Apparent time studies compare different age groups to track change. Real-time studies revisit communities after decades to document change. William Labov landmark studies in New York City demonstrate that pronunciation features like that seemingly random variation actually follows predictable social patterns. Dropping were systematically related to social class, system, style, and attention to speech. His work showed everywhere. Now let's speak about the last thing in our session for today, multilingualism and bilingualism. While monolingualism, people are speaking one language, is often treated as the norm in some Western countries, particularly the United States, most of the world population speaks more than one language. Multilingualism, the people who can speak more than one language, the ability to use multiple languages, is a global default practiced by individuals, communities, and entire nations. Individual bilingualism. Bilingual vary greatly in their language histories and abilities. Simultaneous bilingualism, learning two languages from birth. Just like if your father is Italian, your mother is German, you acquired two languages from them, of course, from birth. Sequential bilingualism, learning a second language after establishing the first. Just like as we came from Arabic countries, we mastered Arabic and then we learned French or English as a second language. Balanced bilingualism, similar proficiency in both languages, relatively rare. Individual bilingualism, dominant bilingualism, receptive bilingualism. Dominant bilingualism, greater proficiency in one language more common. By speaking about receptive bilingualism, understanding a language without speaking it fluently. I understand the languages, like for me, I understand Hindi or Urdu. Okay, I don't speak it fluently, but I understand. If I watch a movie without transliteration or without subtitle, I can understand everything, despite I don't speak the language fluently. Contrary to older benefits, research shows bilingualism does not confuse children or impair development, and instead it offers significant advantages. Cognitive benefits: enhanced executive function and attention control, greater meta-linguistic awareness. Improved problem-solving skills, delayed onset of dementia symptoms by 4 to 5 years on average, enhanced creativity and divergent thinking. Social and economic benefits: access to multiple cultural perspectives, broader communication abilities, increased career opportunities, higher earning potential in many fields, easier acquisition of additional languages. So thank you so much for watching this video, and we are going to continue this third and the last session in our introduction to language next time. Until next time, tata for now. Adios. See you next time. Allah Hafiz.